Hey, 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 it's Filter Free Friday, y'all. Listen, I'm so glad y'all here. I am a little late today because I was looking at my hands like this is my show hands, right? These are my show hands. And I should say show nails because the comedy show is tonight. And some of the regrets have started to come in. I expected that. And so I overshot the capacity just a little bit to be able to cover. Last year, I think I had about 15% drop off, and it was raining. This year, it's raining right now, which I don't know what's going on with it raining at the end of July in Missouri. It doesn't typically rain at this time of year, but it's raining, but it's supposed to not be raining by the time of the show. So I don't know if y'all think it's going to be a 15% drop off or 20%, or if it's going to be less of a drop off. I don't know. But the good thing is that the museum is open. So I can always let people, random people from the public, come into the comedy show if they want to. Now, if you don't know, being a comedian was always on my bucket list. I checked that thing off a year and a half ago, and now I keep doing it. But I'm excited. I'm excited about today. But again, I was late because I was looking at my show nails, and then I was like, "Oh, my hands look 50, don't they?" Because I look at my face, and I'm like, I don't see 50. But when I look at my hands, look at them. They look like my granny hands. So I don't know. Y'all tell me what you think. But I think my hands do look 50. But what I wanted to talk about today is this sermon series that I've been working on for a long time, called Robbing Peter to Pay Saul. If you aren't familiar with these characters in the Bible, just stick with me for a moment. So Peter, one of the first disciples, the one that people remember having denied Jesus 3 times, the one people remember for having cut off somebody's ear, just hot-headed Peter, walking on water and then getting scared and falling. That's what people remember Peter to be. Um, but I think sometimes people don't really understand who Paul was. Paul, who wrote half the New Testament, was this dude named Saul who used to actually persecute and kill Christians, murderer. Um, but when people talk about Paul, they rarely talk about the fact that he was Saul. And I think it tells us a lot about the distract, divide, destroy, because I know that one thing that I need to work on more is collaboration. Sometimes I think about like Mitch McConnell right now. I don't know if the man is dead or alive, but it seems like he's probably not alive, because when you're a career politician, if you're willing to be on the phone talking to somebody at length about international affairs, it is highly likely that if people are thinking that you're dead, that you're going to do a quick little, not just photo op, but video to let people know that you're living. Now, what I know is that hatefulness, hatefulness gonna stick together. If it's one thing they're gonna do, they're gonna stick together. Ain't nobody gonna come out on that side and say that the man did. That ain't gonna happen. But let Mitch McConnell have been on the side of pulling people together, taking care of poor people, trying to release the prisoners, any of the things that make for a good, healthy society. Nobody else would have to come out and say that man ain't living. They wouldn't have to. You know why? Because we would be saying it. We would be saying it. We would be saying it ain't right. We would be saying you got to do the right thing. And I am not a person who's going to say that we don't need to do the right thing. That is not what I'm saying. I am saying that in this sermon that I'm trying to work on around robbing Peter to pay Saul, it is Peter was a person who was, I'm going to say immature. I don't know how old the man was. But Paul, before the road to Damascus, was a person who could not be reached. He was hateful. And when I think about robbing Peter to pay Saul, I see so many people work so hard to convert someone who does not share their beliefs, does not share their values, is so far over to the opposite side of what they believe, but they're gonna try to convert that person. They in the chat commenting on that person's feed, they arguing against that. Meanwhile, they got a Peter right next to them who's trying to advance the same thing they're trying to advance. And you take your guess at whatever you want to think it is, whether it's a safer city, whether it is better healthcare, whether it is children being mentored, it could be people returning back home after they've been incarcerated, it could be taking care of the poor. It could be taking care of veterans. It could be addressing houselessness, affordable home ownership. You take your pick. It could be somebody over there who thinks exactly the same thing as you do, but because you're vegan and they eat pork, you ain't gonna work with them. Or because in 1990, I cheated on a physics test, you're not gonna work with me. Because if I cheat once, if I lie once, then I still lie to everything. Meanwhile, over here, people are overlooking Saul-like offenses, like murderers, rapists, hashtag Epstein files, and sticking together. And I just wonder sometimes when we say collaboration, it sounds good. It sounds good to collaborate. But you know what collaboration demands of me? Collaboration demands of me that if you all buddied up and got your face all up against somebody I can't even stand, collaboration requires that I still work with you still. If you happen to say the words black on black crime and blah, 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 other racist tropes, collaboration means I work with you still. If we share the same values, if we're trying to advance the same thing. Because what I'm trying to say is a hatefulness will go, if you hate who I hate, let's go. Don't care nothing about nothing else. Hate who I hate, let's go. But meanwhile, well-meaning people, listen, don't put sugar in your grits and I put cheese in mine. Can't work together. Don't you like new age rap? And I'm an old school hip hop head. And we could be wanting to advance the exact same thing. And we will not always work together. And I'm talking about me too. When I hear that 75% of the Southern Baptist Convention voted to say that women can't be pastors, if I found out that somebody voted that way, could I work with them? Mm. What if we agree on 9 of 10 things, but we disagree on that one? True collaboration means that, this time right now, when I'm thinking about my comedy show today, I'm not talking about family much today. I'm just talking about all my horrible decisions and red flags I've ignored, and it's absolute hilarity. I can't but help think about how my mother used to talk about voting. She was like, you ain't gonna be able to get on a bus, a public bus, and it's gonna take you directly to your house. Because the public bus gotta serve lots of people. So when you think about politicians, they have to serve lots of people. You ain't gonna find no politician that's gonna drive up to your front door and let you out. You gonna find politicians that operate more like the public bus system that's gonna get you closest to your house. And that's the bus you get on, because then your walk is shorter. But when we find out, and listen, when I say we, I mean me. I can't remember what that guy's name was who was running for president. Bloomberg. He believed in stop and frisk. And all I can think about is the times I've been stopped and frisked and I ain't done a child. Listen, you want to see me have a holy discontent? Tell me about some stop and frisk, okay? Because my time is valuable. Don't be stopping me for 10 seconds and I ain't do nothing wrong and you ain't stopping these other people. I was willing to throw this whole election, okay, if the Dems picked Bloomberg because he believed in stop and frisk. And today, as I'm looking around and seeing and thinking about this sermon that I ain't got nowhere to preach, it's just something I've been working on, robbing Peter to pay Saul. The number one question I get all the time about empathy is, when is empathy enough? When do you stop being empathetic? And I believe that when people ask me that question, they're talking specifically about feeling what another person feels. That is one type of empathy. It comes from this part of the brain. The type of empathy that can be taught comes from this part of the brain. Is called cognitive empathy. Think of it as mental empathy. Think of it as tactical empathy, as the hostage negotiators call it. This part of the brain is just saying, I understand what you think, feel, and believe. I don't necessarily feel, think, or believe it myself, but I understand what you think, feel, and believe. And this helps me figure out what's my next right action I'm going to take. See, if I understand what Peter thinks, feels, and believes, if I'm not being hypocritical, I understand why Peter denied Jesus 3 times. I recognize that I probably would do the same thing too if I was in that same situation. I understand why Peter, when he was walking on the water, looked down and was like, wait, what's happening here, right? If we're honest, we probably would do the same thing too. And cognitive empathy lets you know that, and then also says, okay, now what's my next right action? Cognitive empathy also lets you know when you are dealing with a Saul who is going to kill you if he can. And you recognize that you can't do nothing for Saul. Nothing. That Saul has to have a road to Damascus experience where he is blinded by the light to change how he acted. And who needs God when we got you? You think you're going to change Saul? See, but I bring myself up because I can see clearly when somebody is on that Saul road, and I don't necessarily have to spend my time over there. But what I got to work on, and what I bet you could stand to work on a little bit too, is when somebody's a Peter. You don't like their methods. You don't like how they said it. You don't like who they doing the work with. That you wish they would be a little more this or a little more this, or they did something back in. I was recommending somebody's something for something, and somebody told me, well, they did something in 2013. I said 2013. I mean, did they murder somebody? Something? Wasn't willing to work with somebody today for something that happened in 2013. But let me tell you what, that's the work I got to do. Because collaboration don't mean let me just work with the people who see it the way I see it. It's let me work with the people who don't necessarily see it the way I see it. The people who, I don't know, maybe they working with the people I would never work with. And I think our bridges of hatefulness are like this wide. You hate who I hate? Come on. But the good-hearted people who want to make progress in the world about bringing some folk together, like, man, that bridge narrow. You put steak sauce on your steak? You got a southern accent, I got a feeling about that. You got a northeastern accent, I got a feeling about that. You a California hippie, I got a feeling about that. You practice yoga, got a feeling about that. It's just, I don't know what the answer is right now. I'm just describing, not judging, but I'm gonna keep working this sermon because I've never done like a character comparison in a sermon. That seems pretty hard to figure out how to do. But I know this. I know Jesus was empathetic and also had discernment and knew when to be like, I ain't spending no time over there, versus when somebody could be helped and changed. And I think we all got a lot of work to do. Now, listen, if you come into the comedy show, tonight, please, please don't even bother calling me now. Hour before that show, 2 hours before the show, I'm gonna be over there getting my makeup done. Cause look, just like always, I done got something on my face and it's a big night. Don't be that person. I can't talk to you right before the show. Now we got all day. Now you got my phone number. You got the little link if you're coming. Don't wait till 4:00. Now when I'm getting ready for my little personal Super Bowl to be telling me you ain't coming, because at 4:00 it don't matter to me. I love you, and it don't matter to me at 4:00. It don't. It matters to me now. At 4:00 it don't matter. Because I'm going to give somebody in the museum your seat. It's over 500 people registered for this thing. I have no idea why people want to use their Friday night in this way, but I'm going to be funny. Like, I could go to the Apollo funny. At least that's what I'm telling myself. And as the young people say, the Lulu is the Salulu. If you got some opinions about this sermon I'm working on, let me know. If you got some opinions about the purity test that folk tend to have on the right side of history. That's what I'm gonna call it, because that's the side I'm on, and I like to think I'm on the right side. Versus the way folks stick together when they pushing for hatefulness. If you got an opinion about it, hit me up in my DM. I ain't gonna see it today, but I'm gonna look at it because when somebody called me to preach, I'm gonna be ready, and it's the sermon I'm gonna preach. Anyway, it's Filter Free Friday, y'all. It's Filter Free Friday. We got so much work to do.